You're listening to the audio-only version of the podcast. If you'd like to see more visual gags and funnies, visit lightscameranonsense.com.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/lightscameranonsense. Visit patreon.com/lightscameranonsense to help support your favorite new movie podcast. Now, let's roll that reel.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Lights Camera Nonsense, where we give you all the latest movie magic you may have missed. I'm Nick, Nappy Poo Simmons.
And
just came out of a nap. I'm very sleepy.
Okay, to me that sounds like you have a dirty diaper, but
Nappy Poo. Oh, okay. I can see where people would come up with that. Yeah.
And I'm Zach, 1 year closer to the graves.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because we're all slowly dying. Yeah. That's great.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, almost 30 here. Fuck.
We're keeping it real here at LCN.
Very real. And on April 10th, 2021, let's dive into the previews. But before we do that, if you're watching us on YouTube, you messed up. You're watching us on the latest possible date, because we post on Patreon the day before we post it on YouTube. If you'd like to help support us, head on over to patreon.com/lightscameranonsense. Donate as low as $1. You're helping out a great cause. You're helping out these two aging white guys.
Morons.
Do what they do best, which is vaguely cover movies and what they love about movies.
Tangentially.
Exactly. And you get all the great video hijinks that you could possibly imagine.
And capers, and escapades, and hoodwinks.
All of those wrapped up into a video format for your delight. But if you'd like to listen to us in audio form, you can also just head on over to any audio platform like Spotify, iTunes, Last.fm, Radio FM. We're everywhere. So just check us out. Just search for Lights Camera Nonsense in the podcast section. Rate us, review us, thumbs up, subscribe, do all the things that you can to help support us. We really appreciate it. Zach, 2 days ago, we hit a milestone.
We did. A little stone of the mile, as it were.
I've never heard it called that.
Oh, yeah. It's like, in old days,
yeah,
when people had to walk everywhere, they measured miles by throwing a stone down every time they thought they went a mile. They didn't actually know what a mile
I was going to say, because isn't that like 5,000 feet? 5,000 and change?
But they didn't know. They were just like, okay, yeah, I feel like it's been enough.
Yeah,
and so they threw a stone down. That's why milestone has nothing to do with the measurement of a mile whatsoever.
Oh, nice save.
Nowadays.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, so on April 8th, every year, we hit the milestone of our anniversary since the first video that we uploaded for this podcast. Mm-hmm. The first version. Anyway, we're on the second version now, and we've...
Third or fourth, if you count all the different iterations of this version.
That's very true. If you want to change the format a little bit and then change that version of the program that you're watching, then yeah, absolutely. Zach, would you say that you have a fond memory of the past year? Granted, being stuck at home, COVID-19 going around.
I do like the fact that we have managed to keep doing this throughout everything, as silly as it sometimes seems, the fact that we were able to sit down as often as we were and bang this thing out and
nice.
Have fun with it. Yeah, bang.
Yeah.
That's I'm proud of us for that. We could have just been like, you know what, let's take a break,
let's learn how to bake bread,
let's learn how to do this thing that we're doing before we upload more episodes.
Did we? Because we had quite a few technical issues.
Hell no.
Almost on every episode.
The LCN way is to just keep chugging along and then hope it goes okay.
Hopefully, either an audio issue or a video issue doesn't pop up, or one of us doesn't get injured, or we just lose the whole episode for some reason.
Something like that.
Yeah, or changing the format even. So I think, while it didn't line up with us actually recording the podcast like I believe it did last year.
Yeah, it was actually a weird coincidence that it landed on the exact day last year.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to just take a moment to reflect back on this podcast and how much we appreciate doing it for you. But I did enjoy recording every podcast with you, but we also, did a bunch of videos for Barely Playing with our friends D Fielder. And that's been a delight to do. And I'm really excited for a lot of the things that we're going to be doing for both Barely Playing and Lights Camera Nonsense in the future.
Yeah.
So, Zach, let's just get back to the normal version of the podcast and talk about what we've been watching. Actually, I changed my mind, Zach. I love you, but So you got a gift from your wife earlier today.
Yeah, but I don't think I can't talk about that on camera.
Are we sure? Are we talking about the same thing?
No.
Okay. Are you fucking with me?
It was a joke. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I
got it.
Did she get you edible underwear or something that I didn't know about? Because that's not what I requested her to get for you. No. That would have been a weird text.
No. She came home with some delicious cake for me.
Wait, what kind of cake is that?
I think it's coffee cake.
Oh.
It's coffee cake.
Nice. I got a chocolate cake.
Well, you got candles there.
That's what I was doing earlier. I was
I thought you were just playing with fire because you're an arsonist.
I'm not an arsonist. Fire! Shit. That actually burned. I'm stupid. I'm an idiot.
It's probably a good thing you're not an arsonist.
Yeah, that's... I
would go bad the first time you tried.
I'm not good with fire, man.
You're not good with a fireman?
I'm not good with the fireman. Last time I talked to a fireman, he touched my shoulder in a way that I did not... Hot. Fire's hot, man. Ow. I'm not going to light the middle one. Look at all this.
That is a... Yeah,
Look at how dangerous this is.
That just looks like big orange stuff on camera.
Yeah, that's not great. It's, podcast anniversary birthday.
Hooray!
Make a wish. Blow it out.
That'll come out great.
We did it.
We did it.
Yeah, that was all worth it. Oh, I got wax in my cake. Fuck. Why? Why do people even still use candles?
I don't know. You put them in there. Oh, this is a dry-ass cake. I'm not going to say where it came from because it's a little local place, but this is a dry-ass cake.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's super dry.
Well, you don't have to eat it all now.
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
That's been sitting out for at least a day.
That was expired, but they forgot and they just put it out again. Yeah.
Yum. Delicious.
Yep.
It does taste good. It tastes like coffee, a coffee cake. So.
Well, and you got coffee to wash it down, so.
All right.
Perfect.
I'm gonna stop eating on camera.
Yeah.
Since no one wants to see that.
Or listen to it.
Yeah.
Zach, what have you been watching?
You gonna ask me that when I have food in my mouth?
Okay, wait. So I want to actually talk about something then before we get into what you've been watching. Have you watched the latest The Falcon and Winter Soldier?
In fact, it was the only new thing I watched this week.
Okay. We've all been busy. We just talked about that. So, slight spoilers for people who haven't watched the latest Falcon and Winter Soldier, episode 4 on Disney+. You should watch it. And if you haven't watched it, it's very good. It's only getting better, honestly. But after finishing that episode, it made me realize something that I was going to create another video for, but I think this is actually a perfect place to do it. Because I also watched very little. So the Falcon and Winter Soldier is showing a specific storyline with this John Walker character.
Yes.
Who is the new Captain America, right? Interesting. Familiar for a lot of people who have been watching a lot of superhero shows recently. And there are a lot of them.
There are.
So many right now. Not only did I watch Falcon and Winter Soldier this week, I also watched the latest Invincible, which has a similar character, Omega Man, in it, which is he's like the Superman parallel.
Yeah.
And where that storyline is going, for those who have read the comics, for those who have been watching the show, Whoa.
Sorry.
Your camera okay there, bud?
Sorry there, folks. Yeah, it's just in a precarious position. So when I readjusted, I hit the desk. It's on.
You went through like an earthquake for a minute. But there's an interesting thread going on with superhero shows. Oh, and the other thing I watched was Thunder Force, and it's not great. It's not good. Yeah. It's the latest Melissa McCarthy, Octavia Spencer led film, directed by Ben Falcone, Melissa McCarthy's husband. They do every movie together. They did The Heat, Bridesmaids. Oh, that was Paul Feig. But they do all those.
As long as it's not Identity Thief.
Yeah. Same team. Same team.
I thought it wasn't. Didn't we look this up? Isn't
for Thunder Force? No, because that just came out.
Identity Thief, wasn't it the guy who did Chernobyl?
Wait, look that up for me. Look that up for me.
I'm pretty sure that's
Craig Mazin?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we stumbled upon that.
Because of how odd his filmography is, because he did Rocket Man, not the latest one,
right?
Not the biopic, but the
one.
The one where he farts in his suit on Mars and it blows up and everything. I forgot that actor's name.
Yeah, it was Identity Thief.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. The guy behind the Last of Us TV show is...
Yeah, I retained that knowledge because when you told me, I was like, fuck that movie.
Yeah, because that was right around the time when we were going over Chernobyl.
Yeah.
And you were like, man, this show's great. And I'm like, yeah, he also did Identity Thief.
That was you, because I still haven't watched Chernobyl.
Wait, really?
Do you remember this?
I don't. Once we record an episode and upload it to YouTube, it's out. I stopped thinking about everything we talked about.
No, you had watched Chernobyl, and you were talking about Craig Mazin and some of his dubious filmography picks, and I noticed that Identity Thief was in there.
Okay.
And it was a little baffling, to say the least.
Well, nobody's perfect. Or as I like to say, Pobody's
nerfect. Fucking kill us.
Please let us die. Fuck, what was I talking about? I was talking about Thunder Force. You know, it's like, I chuckled at a couple of things, but honestly, it was that humor that you've seen in several like Melissa McCarthy, Ben Falcone movies where it's the characters being awkward and like just human. Like Jason Bateman plays a guy with crab hands in this movie.
Oh, crab hands.
He's literally called the crab.
Brother. He's a brother to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Because of your crab hands that you like to bring up
my crab hands.
Exactly. And every once, like, he's just Jason Bateman in this movie, but he's also a criminal.
That's literally every time Jason Bateman's in
he doesn't do any other
it's just
character.
Jason
He's
Bateman.
just himself in every movie. Yeah. And, there's some funny moments in it, but honestly, it's just kind of a dud for me. I was watching it at 2:00 in the morning.
The perfect time for a Melissa McCarthy
jaunt.
Yeah. A joint, as it were.
Going back to my original discussion that I wanted to talk about. So, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we've got John Walker and everything that happened in that episode, and we'll get into that here in a second. And the dark tone that obviously the show is setting for itself. Omega Man in Invincible and the Superman parallel with that and what he represents. The Boys with Homelander and what he represents. The DCEU and what Superman in that universe represents. You know, we're kind of living in a weird dark age. Like, back in the early 2000s, we thought, like, oh, in order to make a superhero movie more realistic, you have to make it dark and gritty. We had the Nolan films.
Yeah.
We had the X-Men films, the first couple of those.
Kick-Ass, is,
Kick-Ass, it was...
grounded approach, as, like, in terms of normal people being superheroes.
I think... Well, I just meant, like, more aesthetically with my previous examples. I think Kick-Ass is definitely...
Like, ultra-violent sort of thing.
Kick-Ass was definitely one of those first movies that was making a statement about how superheroes, even in a normal setting, and, like, in the real world, if we had to set superheroes in the real world, how big of a dick would they be?
Yeah.
Like, they're just humans. Most of them are just humans, but with powers. You know, and it's interesting that we're in this kind of weird realm where every superhero show, Jupiter's Legacy, which is going to be coming out to Netflix next month, it's going to show a similar theme, a similar thread as all of these other shows that I mentioned, and another Mark Millar property. But I'm curious as to what you think brought this upon. Like, what do you think caused this
shift?
This new perspective into I guess comic book adaptations, really, because these comics have been around for a while, and these storylines have been around for a while.
Yeah, well, everything comes in waves. This is not the first time we've seen this sort of like what if scenario in terms of taking a genre such as superheroes and trying to ground it or turn it into more dark and realistic. 90s DC and even Marvel too. They just 90s comics in general. Those are like the poster child for like edge, right? Like we're going to be edgy this decade. And then it was at the end of the 90s, early 2000s that really post 9/11, where you kind of saw this return to almost golden age superhero sort of thing, like capes and tights, Superman, being the end all be all for the good of mankind,
like a symbol.
Yeah. And I think as you look at societal trends, this is a deep dive, and I'm sure people who are way more qualified to go in depth on it have done so. But you look at things like the war in Iraq, and you look at things like public trust in the government, being at an all-time low, and just those certain things will generally contribute to kind of a shift in perspective, I guess, and which that carries over to our media as well. So I think we're just kind of on the flip side again of, thinking about these people who are supposed to be the utmost paragons of our fictional society, right? And which we as a society have seen that the people who are supposed to be in reality the paragons are not. And I think we're seeing that reflected in the comic and comic television world as well. It's also worth noting that stuff like The Boys is technically, it's not a new thing, right? Like that's just an adaptation of something that came before.
Right.
And you're keeping in line with those sensibilities from that time. So of course that's gonna contribute as well. MCU even, like that whole film universe is primarily based on the Ultimate Universe, which is, a little bit more, not gritty, but not as
fantastical as like
fantastical
the Golden Age.
Or optimistic, I guess would be the way I would phrase it. It's kill all your darlings sort of thing,
right?
Scenario,
or even never meet your heroes.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, just spitballing from a place of, again, no authority whatsoever, just like throwing shit out there, and yeah, I think that makes sense. I'm sure you could find like an actual thesis and paper on that's the evolution of comics and comic book heroes.
That's how Hollywood it's always reacted to real life events. Yeah. With 9/11 came a lot of dark and gritty films, just based purely on how the zeitgeist of human society was at. Like everyone was currently thinking the world is a terrible place, and war has finally come to us, that kind of thing, and so it reflected in Hollywood.
Well, I think not only that, but you had if you go back and look at stories of the time, there's generally a feeling of the central infallible protagonist, right?
Yeah.
Like the hero is the hero. They can't do anything wrong. If they have done something wrong, it was because they were down on their luck, and now they're like here to retake their glory and be the better person that society wants them to be.
Right.
Facing off an other, right? And not wanting to get too far into the weeds, but yeah, that's a direct result of, the sensibility of the U.S. at the time. And of course, this is a very U.S.-centric discussion right here. Obviously, those discussions are going to be a little different outside of America, United States of America, rather. So it's obviously going to depend on your location. But speaking from the U.S.-centric standpoint, that was what media was at the time. It was us against the other, whether or not it was
correct.
Correct or not? Yeah.
Yeah. I tying that back into the Falcon and Winter Soldier and how just Hollywood reflecting real world events and real life events, and just this whole Falcon and Winter Soldier specifically reflecting how everyone is kind of feeling about specific groups or specific ideals, and how the characters are dealing with each of those situations. Especially with this most recent episode, that one that premiered yesterday. I'll dive into it. What did you think of the most recent episode? Episode 4.
I mean, we've already said it up front. It feels like the show's getting better with each episode. I haven't really hit a low point at all. I think if there was a low point, I've said it before, it was literally the very beginning, and that was just because of the little wonky CG in the desert. But everything else, there's a big fight scene in this episode too. Not that that's abnormal. There's been pretty much a big fight scene in every episode, but there's a fight scene where Sam is actually in his Falcon suit.
Yeah.
Which has been a little rare, surprisingly, in the show so far. It just goes to kind of drive home the fact that it is a very much more grounded show than, say, WandaVision for obvious reasons.
And for story reasons, he hasn't really needed the suit because he hasn't really had to confront the quote unquote villain of this season. To
that point, that is also serving a thematic purpose. We're seeing Sam is very much trying to talk his way through a lot of this. He's trying to, it feels like, exemplify what Steve was, but even as he was fighting against taking up the Captain America mantle, which is part of the reason why we're in the mess that we're in now, with John Walker. But it's like this theme of Sam wants to be Captain America, or, he not necessarily wants to be Captain America, but he wants to live up to the ideals that Steve espoused without being Captain America.
Right.
And so you're seeing that for a lot of the show. And then when push comes to shove, then he will get out his suit. And you're seeing questions on, like, morality, like the grayness of morality, and whether or not certain actions are just means to an end, or whether or not even taking those actions means that you've already corrupted your
ideals,
stance and ideals. So yeah, a lot of good, maybe surface level thinking for a Marvel show, and I don't think any of the things that it's putting out there are entirely like, well, I've never thought of that before. But it's like, it's a comic book show. I think having those things in there, I think is really interesting, as opposed to just being shooty shoot bang bang show.
I think for the opportunity that this show had to basically just be another superhero show, and granted, we are 2/3 of the way done with this one. We're done with WandaVision. So far, we can safely say, unless they completely botch it we're 2 for 2 when it comes to the success and popularity and just overall, everyone gives it a 2 thumbs up kind of rating. The fact that it's a superhero show that is given an opportunity to just be a superhero show and just have it tangentially connect to the world that the MCU has built. The fact that it's giving us the opportunity to start these discussions, not only with our friends and family, coworkers, what have you, but, with people just throughout the internet and the world about these deeper discussions as to why that moment between the cops and Falcon and Bucky was an important moment to portray in this show, or with the moment with Isaiah, the scene right before, and how important that is, and the topics that you literally just covered, which is the morality being gray on whether the things you are doing are right and wrong depending on where you're standing. These are all topics that are like for Steven Spielberg films that you see in a theater, but we're seeing it in a Marvel TV show on Disney Plus, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and again, like I said, these aren't like crazy thoughts or positions that are being thrown out, or theories, whatever, that are being thrown out there, but there's something to be said about the accessibility and reach of something like the MCU and its properties, and having those in there. Like, the MCU is one of the biggest franchises in just globally in general. So the fact that you're able to have even those discussions as not as surface level as they are, they're still in there, and that will, that sparks further discussions or research and that kind of thing. And this has been true for comics as well. It's comics, because they ride such a line between being sometimes just there for shock value because you want to sell another issue, or like, here's the next event in which Marvel wants you to shell out $8 per.
Right. The action, the shooty bang bang punch punch.
They ride that line between, or they ride the line between that and having legitimate criticisms and topics of discussions in those as well. And it's easy for a lot of people to hand wave that sort of thing as like, it's just comics, like, there's nothing important in there. And granted, yes, the things that are in there can be found elsewhere, but how accessible are the tomes of political theory or any sort of socio-political sort of discussion that is not as readily accessible or entertaining as, say, something like comic books or their adaptations. That's why they definitely serve a purpose.
That's why I've always found it like astounding whenever I see people either on a YouTube video or just an internet forum talking about how they're like, keep politics out of my comic book show, or keep politics out of my
those are the
fandom.
Same jokers that'll go, keep politics out of Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, and it's like, that's
that starts with Warheads, man.
Yeah, that's not only is it like, it's a part of the show, it's a part of the universe, it's a part of the world that you're currently living in. So just accept that. And I'm saying that, like, from, if you're going to continue enjoying the show or hoping to continue to enjoy the show or whatever content you're watching, just like that, this is what the creators and the people who are creating this show to be used as entertainment for they're using that. So I don't know. It's just always been a part of the internet that I've never really liked. Like, people gatekeeping specific moments of.
There are plenty of parts on the internet that I don't like.
That's very true.
Whole
websites I'm blacklisted from.
Yeah, I sometimes struggle to find a place in the internet I do like.
Google, get out of here.
Yeah, get on out.
I only use Firefox, this guy.
Yeah, all that to say that I like the stuff that they're bringing up. I like how they're presenting it. Everyone's doing a fan-fucking-tastic job. Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, just knocking it out of the park.
Wyatt Russell?
Baron Zemo?
Daniel Bruhl.
Daniel Bruhl, thank you.
Can we all just like... Can we give like a clap of hands for Daniel Bruhl for... And it's the script, it's the direction, it's everything else. Right. But his performance is like... It's adorable.
And they have, and it's like, but he's a war criminal who's like bombed places.
Yeah, he killed Black Panther's father. Like he killed innocent people. He's a bad dude. But also the dancing scene and how Disney Plus on their Twitter released the Zemo cut, which was just like an extended dance scene of Daniel Bruhl like doing this in a club in the previous episode.
The thing that got me was in the last episode where they're kind of all. It's right before the big blow up, right at the end, and Zemo has said something to get under Bucky's skin.
Yeah.
And Sam's like, don't let him do that. He's just gonna do that weird fucking
head tilt.
And he's already tilting his head, so he like slightly adjusts, but it's like really minor. So you could really miss it if you.
And the way that they portray that and they act that out is just like that. Why is that making me smile? Because that could be a throwaway line in any other scene in any other show. Yeah. But the dynamic between these characters is just fantastic. I'm really sad that we're almost done with the show. Like we still have 2 episodes left.
You know what? I am also I'm sad that we're getting to an end. But on the flip side, I am feeling much more satisfied up to this point than I was with WandaVision.
That's true.
Not to say I still enjoyed WandaVision very much, and there was like the feeling of getting to the end of an episode of WandaVision and being like like that was there, and I think the quality of the show will still be there even without that.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch later on, but I think as a whole, Falcon and the Winter Soldier has just been better succinctly and quality-wise all around than WandaVision. Again, things could go drastically off the rails in the last 2 episodes. I don't think it's going to do that because it's been pretty steady all the way through.
You want to know why? You want to know why, right? I'm pretty sure that every episode is directed by the same person, too. Carly Scollin? Hold on.
Don't know about that.
You keep going. I'll look it up.
But I'm still getting the feeling of like when it gets to the end of the episode of being like, no, I want more, but also being like, but I just got an hour of that, and
exactly.
I feel good about that. Like that's like, all right, you know what, that can tide me over, and I feel like when I get to the end of it, it's gonna be a more well-rounded sort of thing, like a more complete story than WandaVision was.
I feel like because where WandaVision was the first new Marvel content for everyone, and so we were all thirsty for like, all right, what's happening after Endgame? How is everything like what's the next chapter? And so we were all really excited. And this is also after the news of the 20th Century Fox where how are they implementing all of these new characters?
Yeah.
And so with every new episode of WandaVision, it was how is this tied into everything else? Whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier could easily just be Captain America 4 and 5.
Absolutely. I think that is a spot on statement. If you wanted to do a Captain America marathon, I think it could very well be in right after. I mean, I think you would technically have to include Endgame if you wanted to do that, but I think it falls right in line with Winter Soldier and Civil War.
I was quick interjection. I was right. Every episode is directed by Kari Skogland, so you'll see the consistency with one director, not foreseeing, but overwatching the progress of the show and the narrative, and so it's a little bit easier to follow. Because you have that same feeling in every episode. Yeah. Sorry. To continue on.
I was also going to add that I think with WandaVision, we put as viewers, we put a lot of pressure on that show because, like you said, it was not right after, but it was the most recent, fully new project after the Fox acquisition, and were like, oh, it's the multiverse. Who's gonna show up? You know, like everyone, had their own theories. There were like 50 billion reasons why Mephisto was gonna show up next episode, or a fly on the wall. And
it shows how far the MCU has grown in the world. Like, just
right.
It's basically the new Star Wars. Like, we need every new little thing.
Right, yeah. But for WandaVision, I think that actually hurt it. Because we ended up getting, while still good, it was never going to live up to all those expectations because some of those expectations were fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Whereas with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because there's not this mysticism around it. It is like just boots on the ground sort of thing for majority of the time. The possibilities are not as widespread, or like things that could feasibly happen are more metered to the point where if something really crazy happened, it would kind of feel out of left field.
It would feel feel strange.
Yeah.
And especially with the characters that they introduced in this show that we haven't seen before, and how closely connected they are tied to the comics, and how much there is a precedent for it. So, like, when we watched the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, and we're introduced to, I almost said Carly Blumenfeld. That's not her name. The head of the Flag Smashers.
Carly Morgenthau.
Morgenthau, thank you. I can't remember her last name. Carly Morgenthau, which is a gender-swapped version of Carl Morgenthau, a character in the comics. And people were like, wait, who is this character? And so they look up the character, and so they want to figure out the history of some of these new characters. But nothing is fantastical because we don't have that magical element that WandaVision introduced. And so it's, just like you said, it's essentially more grounded. And so people aren't really giving all of these extra theories. They're kind of just strapped in for the ride. Yeah. And that's why it feels more, I want to say easily consumable, but it's also more entertaining. I think I could speak for both of us. For both of us. For both of us.
It sounds like a musical number or something.
But I mean, there's still great theories out there, and still great.
I mean, that comes with the territory. Any Marvel property at this point is going to have a theory associated with it.
How or when is this character going to become
we're in Madripoor,
evil and that kind of thing? Yeah. So I'm really excited to see where the show goes. I feel like we talked about it enough to death.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't think we were going to talk about it. I was going to come in here and actually say I don't think we really need to talk about it because it's turning into a Falcon and the Winter Soldier podcast from week to week.
Yeah, well, you can't really blame us because it's I mean, we're not the only podcast out there or YouTube channel or what have you that is covering this week to week. I think channels that were dedicated to all of movies are now dedicated to Falcon and Winter Soldier or Invincible or just the latest superhero show, because that's what it is now. When we're in this prime of, especially because 2020 was such a shitty year, we're just getting so much superhero stuff. And that's basically why I wanted to start this discussion, not only with Falcon and Winter Soldier, but with all of the other shows, and why I wanted to kind of talk about that. We have too many superhero shows.
They're not going away anytime soon.
No, they're not, because they're successful.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, too, is it's not just original superhero shows, because there's a backlog of infinite number of superhero properties.
Yeah, that's what I was going to tie that into. Basically, all of 2020 doesn't exist. And so we're getting all of 2020 and 2021 in the same year. We have, 4 Marvel MCU movies coming out. Not to mention Falcon Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki, What If, and one other show.
I think.
Hawkeye.
At the end of the year. Yeah.
At the very end of the year. And they don't have to do that. They don't have to do it, but they are.
They are. Well, and I think next is Loki.
Yes.
In June.
In July. Oh.
I think it's June.
June. Okay.
And then after that, it's, I think.
Well, we have Black Widow as a movie in between.
Yes, I was just trying to keep track of the Disney Plus shows.
Oh.
But yes, there's Black Widow, Eternals,
Shang-Chi.
I don't think Shang-Chi is until next year.
Nope, it's this year.
Is it? Jesus.
Yep. I told you, man. Yeah, I was looking this up earlier, and there are 4 movies coming out.
That's November?
No, Eternals is November.
Is it?
Yeah.
I was just waiting for you to look it up. I thought you were still...
No, I said no. It's Eternals is in November.
Okay.
So Phase 4, including Spider-Man No Way, Far From Home.
No Way Home.
No, sorry. Far From Home was the end of... It's a bookend, but it's also technically the very beginning of Phase 4.
Yes. It's the epilogue.
It's the epilogue of the Infinity War saga.
Epiprologue.
Epiprologue. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, they pushed the release date for Black Widow. I'm sorry. Black Widow is in July. It's not in May. Black Widow is in July. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is September. Eternals is November. Spider-Man is December. And those are all the movies. And then Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is what we're doing. Loki, What If, Hawkeye. And then they're talking about Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, Ironheart, Armor Wars, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, but those are also next year. Those are all Phase 4.
Yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Captain Marvel 2, Black Panther 2, Thor Love and Thunder, Guardians of the Galaxy. Phase 4 is the longest phase.
Well, that's because they
had 2020 didn't exist.
Yeah.
And then Fantastic Four to end it, which is interesting. Although I'm sure that they'll flip some of these movies' release dates for the later ones.
Well, it's worth noting again. Guardians 3 was initially part of before. No, wasn't before Endgame. Was it? Yeah, it was initially before Endgame.
Yeah,
and then everything went down
with his tweets.
It had to be reworked, and now it's basically a co-op with Love and Thunder. Is what it sounds like.
Well, yeah, because Star-Lord will be in it. I think Star-Lord is the only character confirmed to be in it.
I thought all the Guardians.
Oh no, they are. Sorry. And Jeff Goldblum. Look at that guy. Look at him go.
Yeah, him and his apartments.com ads.
Buy apartments.com. Life finds a way. No, I'm Barack Obama. Life finds a way.
It's a fine line.
Yeah.
Between Goldblum and
it's the
Obama.
deeper voice. It's the deeper voice for me. I can't do the Jeff Goldblum thing. I'm sorry, Jeff.
Life,
Mr. Goldblum.
Finds a way.
Finds a way. I could do this for an hour. We could do it.
I love that we're not doing any other lines too. It's just that.
It's just life finds a way. It's the only one I remember. I'm being put on the spot, Zach. What the hell, Zach? I can't stop looking at that llama pillow behind you.
Oh yeah, it's adorable, right?
Yeah.
Little adorable llama pillow.
Is it a crown that it's wearing?
Yeah, it's a little rose clown.
You say rose clown?
It said crown, but it kind of got stuck in my mouth.
Gross. I'm really excited for all of the Marvel shows that are coming out and the movies. Honestly, it's just I feel overwhelmed with all of this, and that's talking about Marvel.
Yeah, that's not even taking into account Star Wars along with it. Yeah, you got I think Ahsoka is this year, and Book of Boba Fett is at the end of the year.
Oh my gosh, so much content.
Which is supposedly at the same time as Mandalorian season 3.
Which I keep thinking that is Mandalorian season 3, but they are two totally different things.
Two different ones, yeah. Whether or not they do drop at the same time remains to be seen. But.
Oh, I don't think Disney is dumb enough to do that. They are literally pushing release dates because of their own properties.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you buy everything.
Well, they could have done what HBO Max did. And did the simultaneous release.
They could have, except I bet I have a sneaking suspicion somebody at HBO Max was very mad about the way things are going right
now. Well, especially now.
Yeah.
Because we could talk about this being a week out from it now. Godzilla vs. Kong is doing phenomenally.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, including Bill Maher, who is kind of a dick. I think we can all agree.
A little bit.
And I actually tweeted about it on the Let's Camera Nonsense Twitter. But he posted a link to his show about how the Oscars and the Best Picture nominees are all sad and depressing. And can we just have happy movies now and fuck off?
Sorry, Bill. Some of us don't have money.
Yeah, and there are good entertaining movies out there. They're just not being nominated for Best Picture because that's not what the Academy decides to nominate.
Awards.
Anyway, Godzilla vs. Kong is doing phenomenally well, and I would like to think it's because people are getting vaccinated, and so they're feeling safer and wanting to go out to the movies. That's going to be the first thing I do.
Yeah.
I guarantee, like, literally, I get vaccinated. I get my second dose on the 21st. This is not revealing private information. I'm getting vaccinated on the 21st. Guess what comes out on the 23rd?
It does come out on the 23rd.
Yes.
Mortal Kombat. That's what it is.
Sorry.
Jesus.
No, I was going to do the... And I have HBO Max. I have the ability to watch it at home. But guess what, motherfuckers? I'm going to watch it in theaters.
If you don't die before then.
Yeah, it's fatality. I don't have anything else to add. I just... Yeah. I don't know what I'll do with the coughing for the final version, but maybe I'll keep it in there. I'm excited to go back to the movie theater.
Yes.
Zach, are you?
I am. I will say, I think the standard protocol that the CDC, not to rain on your parade, but I'm pretty sure standard protocol is that you're supposed to wait at least 2 weeks.
Boo. Well, guess what? The vaccine only lasts 6 months, according to them as well.
Without the booster. That's what the booster is for, the second shot.
Still. So wait, I can go to the movies now?
I would advise against it. I can't control you as an adult.
That's right, you can't. Play by my own rules.
Yeah. Did you have anything else to
I was sprinkling it in as we were talking, Zach.
Okay.
Yeah. I talked about Thunder Force. Thunder Force fucking sucked. No.
Yeah.
We can move on.
I did have one other, I guess, point of interest to talk about. So I got an email. I've been getting emails for the last 2 or 3 months.
La-di-da.
From Peacock /WWE about signing up for Peacock and getting a special deal, a special WrestleMania deal for subscribing for 4 months. It was like 50% off, right? So for 4 months, instead of $20, it was going to be $10.
Okay.
And it's like the one thing I ever subscribed to WWE Network for was WrestleMania, because most of the time I'm just watching All Elite anyway, or Dynamite.
I keep forgetting you're a wrestling fan.
Oh yeah, I'm a big old fucking mark. I caved in on this deal, so I have acquired 4 months of Peacock. And I believe I did a very short review, either for the trial version that I did or for the just the straight up free version of Peacock.
Right.
Back when it launched. So just for completion's sake, this is my little update. Peacock sucks.
Oh, yeah?
It's fucking awful.
Tell me more. What about it is so terrible?
Oh God, I remember when I got into the app. First of all, the app for the PlayStation on its own is fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
It lags to hell. It's not optimized at all. I can hear my console fucking shudder.
Yeah.
Every time I try to go back to my fucking home menu.
It's the PlayStation. it's the PlayStation side of things for that app. But honestly, it's also the developer's fault for not running everything through Sony anyway.
Well, I think, quite frankly, it's probably just the mobile build just ported. Which is that's fine. It's just not optimized for console performance, right? Yeah. Which seems really fucking silly to say about a goddamn streaming app, but here I am saying it. And I remember saying this on my initial review. The organization of the shows, like the little tiles, so it does your standard, like, top to bottom, horizontal, left to right sort of thing, right? You have your different categories on each row, and then multiple selections within those rows as you go down. It does this thing where you can't see the full catalog unless you go to the left. Like, so if you're on the starting position of a row, you're given your first option of that category. Say it's blockbusters, and the first one on there is Fast and the Furious, right? Right. That's your first one. And you can scroll over to the right like 7 times, and there's like 4 other Fast and the Furious movies, fucking Columbo, something else.
It's always the like really, really old shows. Like I'm looking at Murder, She Wrote.
Yes, that is also on there.
Roseanne.
You can't see the full catalog unless you go to the left, in which there's a separate small button that says View All. Now, even when you do that, View All just means for that one category row that you're on.
Yeah.
So, long story short, for this part of my rant, the organization is fucking terrible. I don't know who decided to do like any sort of the formatting on this, or like where they decided to put shit. It feels like they just threw shit places. They're just that's...
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of literally every other free movie streaming platform. Like the Tubies, the Plutos, which, I mean, unfortunately is installed into my TV. But, it's basically like just throw everything on the wall, and then you have to kind of, where's Waldo, the thing that you want to look for. I mean, you could search for it, but at the same time, it's probably a crapshoot because you can't look it up by genre or by like an actor who's involved. Like, oh, I can't remember that movie, but I know this actor's in it. Netflix is phenomenal about that, but this apparently can't do it.
Now, granted, you are comparing Netflix, which has been a streaming service for years at this point, to Peacock.
It needs to be the standard.
However, that is the standard, right? To kind of cross streams a little bit here. That was a big complaint with the Epic Store, right? When the gaming platform on the PC compared to Steam, right? Everybody was like, well, you can't compare Steam or Epic to Steam because Steam's been around for over a decade at this point, and Epic's just new. But if you're you've seen what your competition that you're getting into it with has to offer, you want to be at least able to offer parity on some level.
Right.
2, if you're a company like Epic or NBC and you have a shit ton of money to do it, in which you don't really have an excuse for just saying, fuck it, throw up whatever we got up there, then you lose all credibility in terms of that argument. I could see it if you're a small platform, say like Retro Crush, right? Which is this smaller, like older anime streaming service, which is fan-fucking-tastic, by the way, if you are ever interested in older anime. I
don't like the ad placement, and I have the same problem with any other free streaming service. But you get what you pay for, which is free, which is nothing. But the ad placement is always so awkward for Retro Crush. Especially.
I mean, and I feel like that's pretty standard for any kind of free service. But it's one of the very few places that you can legally, watch any of those older things without torrenting. So that being said, if you want something like that, I'd say go. By the way, we're not sponsored by Retro Crush.
No, we're not. Yeah, thank you for that.
But it is fantastic. And I feel like their organization system, is a lot fucking better than Peacock. It's very easy to find shit in there. Taking that to the reason why I signed up for it. So, for those unaware, WWE Network outside of the U.S. still exists as is, but in the U.S., Peacock acquired the rights to stream all the WWE stuff. So it was essentially, at least initially when it was announced, it sounded like you were literally taking the network and moving it over to be like an internal system in Peacock.
Inside a new network.
If you were looking at Peacock, there would be a little thing that said WWE Network, and you'd be able to go in there and it'd be its own front and everything.
Like National Geographic with Disney+.
Yeah. What it actually is it's a little tab up the top. So far, so good. It says WWE. So far, so good. And then you get in there, and it has the same fucking shitty organization system that the rest of Peacock has. I can't find fucking shit. It's awful.
It seems like they built their website, and then once they all generally agreed, like they surveyed the entire company, like, hey, this kind of work, this work, well, and then everyone's like, it could be better. I mean, it works, and then they're like, sold. All right, we're going live.
Yeah, right. I had only specific instances where I would subscribe to WWE Network, and usually what it was is I would subscribe for WrestleMania or Royal Rumble or whatever they were offering me for free or a discounted price. Watch like 3 or 4 special documentaries or whatever, and then be done with it. Documentaries along with like 1 or 2 old pay-per-views, and then be done with it. And even though I had 3 other months to use it, I didn't. I was just done.
Right.
Which I'm fine with. That's just been the way it goes. But the way the network was organized, it had all these different categories or ways to look at things. You could search by match. You could search by performer. You could search by pay-per-view. You could search by organization like WWE, ECW,
or year, or
year, decade, era, that sort of thing. The availability in Peacock is like somebody looked at that and just kind of picked at random ways to do it. And they have now organized pay-per-views via season. So if you're looking at, say, WrestleMania or Royal Rumble, it says, it'll say seasons 35 or something.
Yeah.
And what that actually means is there are 35 episodes of it, but each year is a season. Yeah. So 2000.
So it's like SNL on Hulu, where it's like you have to.
Except with SNL, it's, you have multiple episodes per season, right?
Right.
But for these, because the events are once a year, it would be season, 13 of WrestleMania.
So it's like a crapshoot trying to find one specific WrestleMania for that.
I mean, like with the WrestleManias, to be fair to them, the big stuff like that, like WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, like that has its own category, but it's organized in such a way that it's like, why would you put it like that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do it by just show and not worry about like
or
this
date.
Weird season or episode thing? And so now, like, I can't like look at like specific runs of like, I want to watch this Raw or this SmackDown up to this point. And this is a very niche complaint for it, but I feel like it ties back into the overall complaint of its organization system because it's the whole fucking service. It's service-wide, this organization system. It makes no fucking sense. And I feel like whoever made it or decided to go with that needs to be smacked upside the head.
Well, you could probably tell that they're not a wrestling fan because otherwise they would have put the extra effort into.
I don't know if they're a fucking television or movie fan. They don't seem to give a shit.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You feel better?
I don't. One last thing with the Peacock update, and this is more on just me not reading the fine print. The deal I signed up for was the full access with ads deal, similar to what Hulu does when they go, hey, here's a deal, or package your Disney Plus subscription with your Hulu subscription.
Yeah.
And then fine print, it's the ad. It's the ad service only. You can't package it with the no ads thing.
That's we're willing to give you the service, but just like with some concessions. Like we still need to pay for it.
I feel like the ad breaks are tolerable. They're fairly similar to YouTube ad breaks, only in they don't have like the 5-second ones, or like the ones you can skip after 5 seconds.
Yeah,
it's generally always 20 to 30 seconds long. And it's usually only one, for their credit. It's not like, I think it was Tubi. I watched one of the horror movies. I watched Black Mask,
right?
Or Mask of Death. I think that's where I watched it. That was awful, man. That was like 3 1-minute long commercials every 15 minutes.
Yeah, and
it turned an hour-and-a-half movie into almost 3 hours.
It's the same thing with Pluto TV.
It's not that bad, I will say, but it is a little jarring sometimes. Maybe I'm just spoiled with all the services that don't have it. But
it's funny that we knew this was coming with the age of streaming services, with the basically building your own cable program or cable bill, with the different things that you're subscribing for.
Yeah.
We have been spoiled when it came to Netflix and HBO Max and Amazon Prime, for the most part, with no ads. Like, you're paying for a premium service for a premium price, and so that's why the price is higher. When you get a cheaper service, like the free ones or even the lower version of Hulu, they usually try to blanket your bill with like, hey, you're paying for this one with ads.
Yeah.
The cheaper cost is because we are basically subletting that cost with ads.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I got 4 months for $9, right? So like, it's not as, I'm not too mad about it. And again, compared to other services, it's definitely not the worst. In that respect, I will say it's definitely one of the worst organization systems I've ever seen. I can't harp on that enough. Please, for the love of God, if somehow anyone that does anything for Peacock is listening or hears this on fucking Twitter about some fucking loser going on and on and on about fucking Peacock and how terrible its organization system is, please fucking fix it. It is goddamn awful. Also, get shit to watch, because right now there's nothing on it.
Wow. This is The Office. You have The Office, and you just said there's nothing to watch.
So that was another reason why I went ahead and jumped on it, because Casey and I have been feeling like we want to rewatch The Office lately. We've been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine while we've been eating.
Same. That's so weird. Small world.
Yeah. We're on, like, episode 5 of season 1, so don't get too far ahead of us.
I am. I'm on season 5. It's like every day I get off of work and I come home. I'm like, all right, I got something to eat. I'm gonna watch an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and then I have to go to bed because I have to wake up at 2:00 in the morning. So
yeah. But as we were going through that, we have been kind of, the reason we even started it was because we've had an itch to rewatch The Office.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was getting these emails about this deal, I was like, well, it's about that time. I usually sub to network for a month or whatever discounted price for however long, just to watch that and whatever one pay-per-view or 2 that I get to watch after that. But if that's packaged with The Office for a little while, long enough for us to rewatch it, then yeah, that's decent. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's it, though. And original programming wise, there's maybe like 2 things that I have gone ahead and added to a watch list.
Did you add AP Bio is really good?
I did. So that's not just Peacock, though.
Yes, it is.
I don't think. Is it?
It is.
From the start, or did it just transfer over there?
It transferred over once season 3 started, because it originally was on Hulu, and then Peacock transferred it over. And like, they have the first season free, and then the rest of them are The other 2 seasons are
that one I did throw on my watch list. So this is what I mean. It's like technically that kind of it's like one of those weird like Netflix scenarios where we've acquired this because the people who were handling it before didn't want it anymore,
or they sucked at it.
I don't necessarily count that because it was something else beforehand. I do have it on the watch list. I have Resident Alien on watch list. But for just like straight up original programming, God, I can't even think of one I added.
I can go through the Peacock picks, which is just great for audio listeners. The Office, of course. Parks and Rec, of course. Modern Family, of course. Superstore, which is ending, and so I imagine that's getting a lot of views. Suits shouldn't be on. Anyway, Downton Abbey, Chicago PD, Psych.
I do love Psych, and that is on my watch list because I'm like I never got around to finishing that.
I never watched Psych. I think I
tried.
Actually,
you would probably like it. I would go give it a shot.
Okay,
it's pretty funny. Low stakes sort of thing.
I think it's because it started off on USA, and USA has like 9 times out of 10 given me a show where I should be interested in it, but for some reason it's just this feels like every other show I've ever seen before. It's just like like fair. Burn Notice was the only show where I watched from beginning to end. I was like, yes.
Psych was the first show on it other than Raw, coincidentally enough, that I was watching. WWE Raw. And then I did watch Burn Notice for like 2 seasons, but I dropped it. And I watched it primarily because
Jeffrey Donovan? Bruce Campbell?
Bruce Campbell, thank you. I can't believe I blanked on his name. But yes, he's in that, or was in it.
Yes.
And that was primarily the reason I was watching it.
Great actor. Love that man.
So,
I love you,
but
Bruce.
yeah, I dropped that after a little while. I didn't watch anything else like the what is it, Royal Pains or whatever it was.
Or Suits, or I'm trying to think, like the USA shows and the shows like Law and Order and the SVU and all those shows. Those all kind of just blend together.
Well, and you can kind of see too, like there's nothing like crazy budget wise going on with those shows.
Wait, they remade Punky Brewster?
Yeah, that's one of the Peacock originals. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I feel like there's one Peacock original I threw on there, but I don't remember.
Yeah, they don't really.
I have Everybody Hates Chris is on my watch list because that was a great show.
Oh, Brave New World. Did you add that?
I did not add that because I heard very middling things on it.
That's okay. It's a cool orgy scene in there. Anywho.
Anyway,
Zach.
That's my second review of Peacock.
Hopefully last.
Somehow even worse than the first one.
I'm going to need a once your 4 months are up, I'm going to need a final review.
Post-mortem. Yeah.
Post-mortem.
Also worth noting that from at least a very brief browsing through their movie selection, they have lost a lot of stuff since its initial launch, which was a big thing. I don't know if you remember, they were losing stuff like Jurassic Park, some
a lot of Universal stuff.
Couple of the Fast and Furious movies I think dropped off too, like a month after launch.
Yeah.
So that was a big hubbub about. There was a big hubbub about that, and they seem to have stayed lost due to licensing.
I was going to say that's the trouble when it comes to streaming services and the licenses that the streaming platforms acquire when it comes to studios.
Yeah.
Either studios will align with a very specific streaming service, like Warner Brothers and HBO Max, due to ownership, obviously, but also loyalty. Like some Sony, obviously a lot of Sony movies will be on Netflix, but then when it comes to specific franchises, that those rights will be bought by specific platforms.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird, like you'll see some of the Spider-Man movies, the more recent Tom Holland ones, those are still on Netflix, whereas the rest of the MCU, and it's because Sony owns Spider-Man, but the rest of the MCU is on Disney Plus. So it's like, if you want to get the entire timeline of the Infinity War saga, including the Spider-Man movies, you got to go over to Netflix to watch some of those. Yeah. So it's just, it's a constant war. It's a constant battle. You got to pick which fight you want to be in. And by fight, I mean, which subscription do you want to pay for this month? Yeah. And how long do you want to have that subscription? A lot of people signed up for HBO Max for Godzilla vs. Kong, which, you know, you got it. I hope you enjoyed it.
Hey, Judas and the Black Messiah was a fucking banger. I'll say that much.
There's going to be a lot of great movies that come out on HBO Max that I'm really excited for.
Yeah.
But I will not be re-upping for HBO Max every month just for the one movie that they'll be releasing every month. Because that's what they've done. HBO Max,
yes, especially
especially with this plan that they have for 2021, releasing like one big banger blockbuster every month, is very smart, very intelligent, and honestly, the reason a lot of other streaming platforms are kind of kicking themselves is that they're not doing the same thing. I mean, Netflix is doing a similar-ish thing. They're just like, we've said it a million times, shotgun every single content every week.
There's
like,
something in there that you want.
Thunder Force is the one this week.
To its credit, seems to be a better alternative to whatever the fuck Peacock is doing, where they're just like, I don't know, man. Look under the couch. Maybe there's something there.
You can rewatch the same thing you watched 100 other times. It's Office, Parks and Rec, that whole universe.
There's 60 episodes of Columbo that you could watch.
Murder, She Wrote, folks. Your grandfather will love it. Or loves it. He's already seen the whole show.
What's the... oh, fuck. What's the soap opera?
All My Children.
Days of Our Lives.
I was going to say All My Children. That was the one I grew up on. It was that... So, soap operas are so hard to escape because once you get enwrapped in the story, you're like, all right, but...
they're so
it doesn't
insane,
end,
right?
It doesn't end. Yeah, like, those shows continue.
Yeah.
And continue. So, like, the characters will leave and stuff like that, but the show just never ends.
But then they'll
come
back. They'll come back.
And then they'll come back because they died, but there's
not
evil
only
twin.
will they come back, they'll come back like 10 years later, and everybody just expects everybody watching to know who the fuck they are.
I was on vacation. Who
you
are
thought
you?
I died. I'm actually a corporeal ghost.
Corporeal?
I can still act like a normal human being. And
it almost sounds like you were trying to say corporal.
Corporal. I'm a corporal ghost.
Corporal ghost? Zach, if people wanted to tune in and give us their opinions on Peacock or their favorite streaming platform of choice, how would they let us know?
They can email us at corporalghost@lightscameranonsense.com.
I feel like people are going to misspell that, Zach.
They will.
Corporal Ghost? I feel like I'm going to misspell it. C-O-R...
Should we do Lieutenant Ghost?
No, fuck no.
Sergeant Ghost.
Oh, God, they're all terrible. Damn you, France. Corporal... That looks like it's misspelled, but I know it's right. Corporal Ghost @lightscameranonsense.com.
There you go.
I typed it in. It's at the top of the video. For audio listeners, please give us your questions, comments, and concerns, and your favorite streaming platform of choice at corporalghost@lightscameranonsense.com.
Tell me what to watch on Peacock.
Yeah. I actually want to, now that it's ending, I want to try out Superstore. Because I remember trying to watch it and kind of getting into it. I had a weird feeling. Like, some of the characters made me uneasy. But maybe they get better after the first season. That's usually how it always is. The first season of every great sitcom is always just dog shit compared to the rest of it.
Very, like, not as good as you want it to be.
It's because they're, like, trying to grow into these characters that they know are going to be lasting for seasons.
Enjoying Brooklyn Nine-Nine Season 1, right? There you go.
Actually, that kind of bucks the rule for me, because I actually like Season 1, and it's pretty consistent with the rest of the show.
There's been bits I like, but...
They again, that's another example of them growing into the characters.
I feel like I've seen stuff from later seasons that I like more than what I'm seeing now.
Yeah.
So.
The Tell Me Why lineup scene is still my favorite scene. But this has been Lights Camera Nonsense, keeping you updated despite our best efforts. Updated is a very loose term.
We try so hard.
This episode has been kind of a farce. We just kind of threw everything out the wall. There were plans, Zach, for a great party at your place, but again, the echo. Get out of here.
That's the Sergeant at Arms ghost.
I had a banana costume.
Who just copies everything we say.
I just want to let you know, I had a banana costume on layaway at Party City.
On layaway? Do they still do layaway?
Not layaway. I had them hold it for me. That's what I mean. I had them hold the costume for me. When I got there, I had a typical Seinfeld situation where they gave it to someone else. Someone else bought a banana costume. In the time when I had it be reserved and on my way to the store, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go get this banana costume. I can't wait to record this latest episode of the podcast. Somebody bought it. Somebody bought a banana costume.
Service.
I know. And I'm like, what was the point of the reservation?
This city is not very partiful.
It's not. Is that even a word?
No, but I'm going to say it.
Make sure to tune in every week for all the latest news, reviews, and what else, Zach?
How do you do?
Oh, they're country. Well, thank you.
How do you do?
Beers, women, and country.
How do you do?
And how do you do?
Beers, women, and how do you do?
Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.